Well, as we get older, we have to change what we eat. Dr. Ian Smith says each decade of our lives presents different challenges that we have to face. And if we know what to eat and when, we can feel younger and live healthier lives.
We all know growing old is a fact of life. However, Dr. and best-selling author Ian Smith says it isn't something we have to face with dread. According to him, there are a lot of things you can do to keep yourself looking and feeling youthful. In his latest book, Eat Your Age, Dr. Smith shares how you can implement simple changes for each decade of your life to help you feel younger, be happier, and live longer.
Well, he's back after a long absence. We're sure glad to have you back here.
This is my 19th year with you guys.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah.
God is good, isn't it?
It is, and you come with such good and wise information. You know, it's as we age, we see the signs of aging, gray hair, wrinkles, sometimes losing energy, yes, all of that. And so, you know, our bodies, what causes this to happen? Why don't we just stay healthy all the time?
Well, I have a saying. I say that if you're fortunate enough, growing old is inevitable, but feeling old is not.
Ooh, yeah.
And I think that people have to have a different mindset and look at growing old as an opportunity rather than a loss. And so many people were asking me, Dr. Ian, why is it that I'm in my 40s or 50s or 60s plus and I can't eat like I did in my 30s or 20s, or I can't move the same way? And the answer, Terry, is that as we age, we change just not physically, but physiologically, internally. And so we need to make adaptations. A lot of people don't adapt to how they are fueling their body and how they are moving their body. So Eat Your Age says, for each decade of your life, starting in your 30s, these are your top 10 power nutrients. These are your safest and best exercises. These are the medical tests you need to get. These are medical conditions you should be aware of. And then at the end of each decade, I give you a 30-day customized meal plan that will incorporate all those power nutrients. Why? We're trying to fight heart disease and high blood pressure and cholesterol. Yes, there are medications, but there's a way to treat and prevent these things right at your kitchen table. And so Eat Your Age says, this is how we're going to eat and move as we age.
What if you didn't start in your 30s?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because, you know, when you're in your...
A sad question.
Well, it's never too late to start. That's my other thing, is that no matter how old you are, you can still make changes, and you should make small changes. Incremental changes. Don't try to do too much too fast. But no matter what decade you're in, even if you didn't start in your 30s, if you're in your 50s or 60s plus, you can still change the way you eat, change the way you move, and then reap the benefits of it. Once again, look at aging as a way of, as a indication of opportunity. We have a chance to do so many more great things rather than say, well, I'm going to resign myself to not moving well, not being able to climb steps. That's a defeatist mentality. And with this book, I want people to realize, be optimistic and be reinvigorated.
I like the starting small because sometimes I think we look at it as such a huge lifestyle change, things we don't really want to change, even though we need to change them. And so it's a deterrent, you know, to do that.
Take one small thing, work on it for 10 to 14 days until it becomes a habit, then go to the next thing. When you do too much too fast, like you say, you get overwhelmed and you just give up altogether.
Yeah. You notice I'm standing up straighter.
Yeah, I like that. Good posture.
Just saying. So we've divided this into decades. Let's start with the 30s.
Yes.
If you're young enough to start this.
The youngins, we call them. The youngins.
Right. Yeah, I definitely call them that.
So the book gives you 10 nutrients for each decade, and then it tells you not only what these nutrients are, but what they do in your body and where to get them from. So we're going to demonstrate 3 of them. So in your 30s, calcium. Calcium's great. Strong bones, strong teeth, particularly for women. As you get older, you want to make sure your bones are strong so you don't have osteoporosis. And then iron. You talk about iron deficiency anemia is a big thing for younger people.
And you can have that without even knowing it.
100%, right? You're not breathing well, you realize you're iron deficient. So things like spinach have a lot of iron in them. Iron is the building block of hemoglobin, which is the protein in your blood that carries oxygen. So we definitely need our iron.
Biggie.
And then vitamin B9 is great. Vitamin B9, particularly for women, is when they are having newborns. It prevents birth defects, but also it's good for red blood cell formation. So these are some examples of where you can get vitamin B9.
Okay, we've got some other things, but let's move on here.
Yes.
Now we're in the 40s.
Our 40s. Okay, here we go. This is a time of hormonal change and energy change. So MUFAs, monounsaturated fatty acids, like olive oil, sesame oil. It raises the good cholesterol, which is the HDL. It lowers the bad cholesterol, which is the LDL. So you want to make sure you have your monounsaturated fats. Also, antioxidants. Blueberries are the best, right? Antioxidants are wonderful because they fight free radicals. Those are small molecules that are trying to kill your cells. These will fight it, but they also will give you an energy boost. And then lastly, people have to understand vitamin D. Vitamin D, for example, in yogurt. Mushrooms that have been in the sun. Vitamin D is important because it helps your bones absorb calcium and phosphorus and retain it so you have strength.
Okay, let's move on to the 50s.
Okay, this is me.
By this time, well, this doesn't apply to you, but because you've been doing this since your 30s.
Sure.
But for most people at the 50s, they're starting to feel some of the things you're talking about. Yes.
This is what I call go time, okay? I'm 55, so I'm in the middle of this decade. What do you need? You need fiber. Your gastrointestinal or your gut system is slowing down. Fiber, like in apples, is really important, okay? You also need vitamin C to fight infections. So you look at peppers, a lot of vitamin C, and tomatoes.
I don't think of them as
you don't think, right?
Yeah.
I know. I want some kind of different things. So vitamin C and tomatoes have vitamin C and lycopene for men to help prevent prostate cancer. And then you want to look at something like omega-3s. Heart healthy, brain healthy. So omega-3s you can find, for example, in chia seeds. You can find them in salmon, my favorite fish, by the way, because there's lots of protein. So this is what the 50s will look like, okay?
Okay, let's move to the
60s plus.
60s, and
yes,
there's hope.
There's hope for all of us. That's right.
Hope.
Okay, these decades, it's all about making sure you are building muscles. We need to have more muscles. People are doing cardio, which is great for your heart and lungs, but muscle training is critical. So you want protein is the building block of muscle. So we have, for example, tuna here. We have some chicken here. We all know that, you know, lentils have a lot of protein in it. So first of all, it's protein. Then it's vitamin B12, by the way. That's important for your nerves. That's important for cellular metabolism and blood cells. Now, here's the issue. People, as you age, you don't absorb vitamin B12 as well. So if you can't get it in your food, we have some examples here like sardines. You also want to make sure you're getting a supplement. That's extremely important. So yeah, that's really, and people are deficient in that, and that's one of my big takeaways. And then lastly, you want to make sure you have potassium. Potassium, that's right, there you go. And bran cereal, potassium's good for muscle contractions, and it's good for making sure that you have the right amount of fluid inside the cells.
So I want to move back where people can see what your book looks like. Let's just stand right here while we talk a little bit about, you were saying in our 60s, muscle development or sustaining muscle health is so big. But what about exercise? What role does that play, and how do we do that?
So exercise, in the book, I have QR codes that when you hit it with your phone and you'll see videos of me showing you exercise. But exercises should be different as you age. For example, we have some video here. When you're in your 30s, you do more complicated exercises. You do something called mountain climbers, which is what we have here, which is work on your legs, on your core, on your shoulders, and your traps. Then in your 40s, you saw me doing there. Those are called standing crunches. That's working on your core. That's something you may be able to do in your 40s like that, nice and simple, okay? Now, here's the key. In your 50s, you want to do something like this. This is doing a squat, and it's doing curls. And then lastly, you want to do something like a single leg balance curls to work on your balance as you get older. Your balance gets a little off. We're trying to prevent you from clipping the curb or the step and falling and having a fracture. It's interesting because one of Pat's main things, as you remember, was working out.
Yes.
He was so far ahead of his time. And he and I would talk about lifting weights, and he was lifting real weights. And he was 100% correct. So Pat, you were correct. Listen, people at home, when you get older, it's not just walking. It's increasing your muscle mass. And you got to do either resistance bands or you got to do weights. Women too, by the way. This is really important. And so, yes, I'm just excited that Pat was right, and I'm encouraging people to lift weights and eat more protein. By the way, how much protein? 1 gram of protein for every pound of desired weight. So if you want to be 150 pounds, you should be eating 150 grams of protein a day. And most people aren't eating half of what they need to eat.
Much less.
Much less.
It's all in here. Listen, can I just tell you, you have made it so easy for all of us. You can learn more in his brand new book. It is called, it's called Eat Your Way, Eat Your Age. It's available nationwide. And he has a recipe book in here, complete with 150 different tasty options for every decade of your life. You can order it by going to cbn.com. He's also offering a free 60-day virtual boot camp. And you can access all of his exercise and meal plans. So sign up by sending an email to eatyourage@gmail.com. Thank you. You're a lifesaver.
I love you.
Bless you. And you do not look 55.